this is from August 2015, which is only about a half year from launch. But still, there are a ton of things that are like not finished yet. So this shows just how much Stardew Valley kind of came together at the last moment. The farmhouse still has this weird protuberance. Protuberance, is that a word? This weird thing, this nose sticking out right next to the door. I don't know what I was thinking there. But obviously I got rid of that at some point. The mailbox is still on the left, so that must have changed that. You know, it's like I did a ton of work in the last like 6 months. I think I was just at the point where I knew it was so close. I needed to finish the game.
Cool that he's showing
The
us
finish line
how
was
the
so close.
game started.
And that's what gave me the drive and the motivation to make all these little changes in the last 6 months to prepare the game for release. I think one of the most notable things was just that the farmer still had this weird, goofy look. This is not what the farmer looks like in Stardew Valley, so that was like a last-minute change.
Farmer looks normal, I feel like.
Which I'm really glad about because I don't really like the way this looks. Looks kind of stiff. Kind of like a Pinocchio or something. Yep, there's the old classic Stardew Valley mines. So
The old classic Stardew Valley mine.
footage that I have from before launch. I do want to give a shout out to my 2 beta testers, Bexy and Siri, who helped me find a ton of bugs in the game. Here's a screenshot from Bexy's farm. This is one of the first ever Stardew Valley farms. Looks pretty good. Thank you guys so much.
Wow. He definitely did a lot.
So here we are, February 26th, 2016. The culmination of 4.5 years of work, the launch of Stardew Valley. A lot was riding on this because if it flopped, I would have been 4.5 years behind my peers with no money, no job experience.
Yep.
Would have been pretty depressing. I stayed up all night the night before because I found a bug and I had to fix it because the game was set to launch the next morning. So that was highly stressful. On the first day of launch, Stardew sold just
I think this is the same like
which was already
thing he's
beyond my
done
wildest dreams.
in the
After
Stardew
that
Valley
first day,
Symphony of
I knew that
Seasons.
this was going to be a big deal. I knew that I could be a game developer from now on. It was really happening. Of course, I didn't really have time to think about that too much because there were immediately bugs being found in the game. And I spent the next... I think I released a patch every single day for the next 4 days after launch.
That's funny.
Pretty big patches, too. But see, back then, the game was a lot simpler. There wasn't different languages. There wasn't multiplayer. It was just me working on it. So I could crank out it was only on Steam. I didn't have to make a console build. I didn't have to make a mobile build.
Nope.
So I could crank out updates at an extremely fast pace.
So crazy
I
to me.
spent the rest of that spring fixing every bug that people found and trying to add meaningful improvements to the game with each patch. I was releasing patches pretty rapidly. Some notable examples were Grandpa's Shrine and his evaluation. When the game first came out, Grandpa was extremely harsh, and he was almost a little bit rude. You know, if you didn't do a good job, he would say, "Man, I should have bequeathed the farm to my other grandkid." And there was no way to reevaluate. If you didn't get, the 4 spirit candles the first time, forget about it. So I softened that, and I also added in the way that you can, have them come back and reevaluate. Here's another example. On March 20th, I added unique dialogues for all the spouses. So I don't remember this, but apparently before then, every single spouse had identical dialogue, and people still complain about this. But there's been a ton of work on the spouses over the years. And it just goes to show that, even though Stardew Valley was launched, in my mind, it was not its ultimate form. That's why I kept making updates. That's why I essentially, as soon as these bug fix patches were out of the way, I immediately started working on the 1.1 update, which is the first major content update. So I'll just briefly go over the updates. If you want to see everything that's been added to Stardew Valley, I recommend going to the version history page on the Stardew Valley wiki. But yeah, the 1.1 update added 4 new farm types and kind of established the tradition of every update adding new farm types to the game. And notably, it added Shane and Emily as marriage candidates, which you, the community, voted on a poll that I put on Twitter. 1.2 just added new languages to the game. It wasn't really a content update. I hadn't yet established the tradition of 1.x updates always being major content updates. So then we had the 1.3 update, which most importantly added multiplayer to the game, fulfilling the promise I had made to the players before Stardew Valley even came out. 1.3 also added the winter night market and a few other things. One thing about 1.3 is the multiplayer was actually developed, not by me. It was put in by a guy named Tom Coxon, who went on to create a game called Cassette Beasts. You should check it out. Thanks, Tom. But yeah, it started this new era where I was open to getting help on the actual development of Stardew Valley, which allowed for bigger, more ambitious updates. So then there was the 1.4 update, which added the movie theater, fish ponds, 14 art events to all the spouses, and many other great things to the game. Then we had the 1.5 update, which added a huge endgame location, Ginger Island.
Ginger Island.
The Quee quests and this idea of perfection. The volcano, which allowed you to enchant your weapons and tools. And many other great things. Then there was the 1.6 update, the most recent update. Kind of a return to the valley after 1.5's Ginger Island. 1.6 added some new systems, some endgame content. It kind of filled in some gaps that I feel like were present in the game. And it added some old ideas that I've had for a long time, like Green Rain. So those were all the major updates to Stardew Valley in a nutshell. Of course, there were some intermediary updates in between all of those major ones, which sometimes added some important things to the game. But those were the major updates. Now, what's next? Well, as I've already announced, there is a 1.7 update in the works.
Uh-oh.
But I don't want to reveal too much about what's in the update yet. Although I did announce that there would be 2 new marriage candidates, and I'm going to reveal those soon. I know you guys are probably bored out of your minds by this, and you're just waiting for me to get to the unveiling of the marriage candidates, right? But I just have one more thing to say. I have in my hands an envelope with the names of the 2 new marriage candidates that will be added in 1.7. But before I open that up and reveal the names to you, I just wanted to say thank you so much for supporting Stardew Valley over the past 10 years, for all the mods, the fan art, all the letters, and the comments you've made to me telling me how much Stardew Valley has meant to you. That's meant a lot to me too. And it's really given me a lot of purpose in life. So I'm grateful to you for making this a reality for me.
It's a real one.
Thank you so much. I also just want to thank everyone else who's been part of the Stardew Valley journey, from the other developers who have helped me out over the years, to the merchandise companies who have created all these cool Stardew Valley items, the people who have run the Stardew Valley concerts,
the concerts are really cool.
Cole for helping me make the Stardew Valley board game.
I really appreciate it.
And so many other cool things that have come about over the past 10 years. So thank you so much to everyone. Now, let's get down to business. All right, here it is. 1.7 marriage candidates.
No
go.
way! I
Clint
guess
and Sandy.
Clint and Sandy. That's
It's their turn.
crazy.
It's their time.
Wow. There we
All right.
go. There we go, eh?
Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
Wow.
Bye.
There we go, huh? I mean, that was it. See you later, too. Jeez.